Sorry. I just want to, sorry, but it's like, anyway. I feel so inclined anytime I have a conversation and talk about it so that I can watch the video back at a later date and be reminded of the rhetoric that, yeah, that, or the narrative that it is that I figured out from whatever it is that I'm talking about, so that I can draw reference to that to heal through something proximal to that in the future. Another reason so that I can keep a video diary of all the advice that I've given to myself related to the first thing. And then for the third reason, so that I think it might have just been two reasons, but anyways, so I look like Macho Man. It's just because I'm laying down. But I also sometimes just look like Macho Man, and that's completely fine. But oh, but today I had like a not great conversation with um someone that used to be a really major part of my life, and it shook me to my very core because I did something wrong. I did something wrong. And I tried, well, something wrong that I do want to specify wasn't, doesn't hold moral weight, but it is something that I should have done otherwise and that I wish I had done otherwise. But, and then I tried to rectify it, and then the rectification wasn't accepted. And that sent me just into such a panic response, and I freaked out so bad. Not on said person, because if it is an instance where I'm wrong, I'm not going to be, well, it's talking about you, it's not about you, did. Like, no, that's not the case. But what is the case is that I was really giving myself such a hard time for it, which it is a good thing to be self reflective in the face of like any instance where you know you could have done better, especially if someone else is identifying that. But I think after having that discussion with myself and, yeah, figuring out like what it'll look like in the future if I am encountered with a situation that's ever similar, like what I want to do in the future and how I will do differently. So, long story short, after that whole conversation, I was like, why is there still so much just physical tension in my body? Why am I so physically alarmed? And I realized that if, because this person's presence in my life was so large, like in the sense that anytime I wasn't at work, I was in the presence of this person. And so much of it, of, yeah, this person's placement in my life, um, or the discomfort with this per, pers- person's placement in my life, there's just a lot of times in which, so long story short, I figured that anytime, sorry if you keep hearing that, my laptop, the whole bottom of it is like off right now, which is horrible. And, well, not off, but like the nails are out. Don't ask me why. It's actually not a long story. I thought that it was water damage. It wasn't. I just haven't put the nails back. But I was like, why am I feeling so panicky? And I realized that like, if there's ever a time in which you are spending so much time with someone that doesn't honor your boundaries, particularly your physical ones, and you dishonor what your body is telling you, or you live in ignorance of what your body is trying to tell you by it sending you that alarm in the presence of this person that induces it, then any time that you think about that person or you experience that person, that alarm manifests again, because it's the feeling of being like, for me, how I I don't even want to personify this with an analogy because I'm like, I feel like that would make it seem like a lot bigger of a deal than it was. But long story short, this all kind of ties just into a process that I am attempting this year of validating what it is that my body is telling me about where my mind is. Because a lot of the time, my mind won't be as quick to pick up on my being's discomfort with something as my mind is. So, or as my body is. So I'm just trying to, yeah, to give myself more allowance of just like feeling and, or I guess, of validation for anything it is that I'm feeling so that I can avoid situations like this. Because right now I've realized I'm at a point in my life where I realize I have gone so fiercely after anything it is that I've wanted in life that I currently have in my life. Like, there has not been a clear cut path for many things in my life. So, at this stage, having so many physical manifestations of perseverance, but the anxieties that came in tandem with them, I'm really having to ask myself, why is this the first time that I am so fiercely pursuing my well being and my happiness? And I don't even just say, like, I talked about this in the last video that I made, I believe, but I feel so like full of shit whenever I'm talking about, oh, I have to do this because I want to be happy. Because in this day and age, everyone's like, oh, you want to be happy. I'm like, what? Yeah? Like, is that evil? Not even evil, but more in a way where, like, whenever the economy is kind of like butt right now, well, the consumer economy is butt right now. Whenever the consumer economy is butt, people look at each other to blame. They're like, oh, this person is using too many tax dollars for this service that they don't need. And then they're like, well, this person is using so many tax dollars for this thing that they don't need. And they're full of baloney. Like, it just is this whole back and forth about who is the bigger liability to society. So it feels really like there is so much pressure to focus on everything having to do with professional productivity and economic productivity without the consideration of the fact that personal productivity is what catalyzes all of those other things. Like, I have never been able to active like to be, yeah, I've never been able to epitomize my like worldly benefit in the buy, spend, save, like, or the buy, sell, save cycle than I have whenever I actually am in a place where I'm mentally in check so that I am taking care of my professional life and other things. And I say that as if I'm not taking care of my professional life. I literally just worked a fucking full-time job that I'm currently transitioning to a different one from. So it's not like I'm just sitting here all day. Like, right now I am just spending time with my family at home, which is why I'm like, I don't want to feel guilty about these things. I'm sick of just feeling guilty for things that hold no moral weight because they're just so socially, yeah. But long story short, I've realized that, like, yeah, I was all of that to say, just there are so many instances in which I felt bad for being the person that is listening to their body and figuring out that they have to do certain things for their well-being. But I'm also like, whenever people are tantalizing other people about having this point of view, I'm like, I don't know that we all feel like physical anxiety the same, but this is how I know it to be experienced by the majority of the public. And like that physical, tangible feeling of panic and like your heart's in your throat and your stomach's at your feet and just like immediate a gut instinct of like danger. I think that's what it is. It's like the survival instinct. It's like the psychosomatic aspect of having your survival needs at risk. But then it's like it might not be a situation of survival needs such as like food, water, shelter, but then that is what I'm saying is making me prioritize this, because I tried for my entire life up until like pretty much this year to be the person that just keeps their nose down and does what the hell it is that they have to do to get the goals that society has collectively agreed on as markers of success. Um, and I had done a really good job with that and still do, but it's just the places that I am in right now in my professional life value, yeah, value my work more than they do the, they value the subjective receipt of my work rather than the like socially received. I don't even know that that makes any sense. Long story short, people at work aren't hiring me off of the basis of, well, you did this and this and this. That is, well, they kind of are. That's what I'm nervous about the job transition. But long story short, I'm just saying that, like, I'm glad that I'm starting to learn what these patterns mean to me for the fact that it means that I can go through my day feeling physically better than I did the day before. I'm realizing why so many Americans just sit their whole life away. They just sit and that's it. Is because there's just never anywhere that you look that people are acting in full legitimacy and allowing their minds to have the full organic processes that they were meant to have. So everyone kind of lives in this state, this consistent state of panic and avoidance. And as much as I know that this, I don't want to say everyone, this isn't, not everyone. I'm just saying that this is like the case for whenever these things are like systemic. And this isn't even like my everyday reality either. Like, excuse me. Oh my gosh. But I feel like that is the case for, yeah, just a lot of the American public. And yeah. And I'm not saying that either to say that this is only something that happens in America. I'm more saying that to be like how on a global perception people are like, "Oh, Americans are lazy." And I'm like, "Yes, and." And if you're in America watching this and you're like, "I'm not lazy." Once again, understood. Once again, speaking to the global perception and also just to how I don't want to say Americans are marginally lazier because that is not true across the board. Once again, the most hardworking American and the least hardworking American have such, like, it would be such a stark, because this country is fucking huge. But it's also just like, if you look at someone, like the average American versus like even like the average, like, UK occupant or like Nigeria occupant. Like that if it was like a like if the, I think about this sometimes. If there was an Olympic for every country and it was just regular ass people doing regular ass things. And I think it's just because we are a country of gimmicks, and I don't mean gimmicks as in I mean gimmicks. And that's horrible. Oh geez, and I don't want this to be just like a whole, let me set the record straight. Oh god, oh my god, I've been on Facebook so much that the panic body response that I'm talking about right now, or that I was talking about 2 seconds ago, is exactly what I'm feeling right now. Because anytime I say something that is even the slightest bit outspoken, it makes my whole body just be like, oh my god, you guys, it literally is like, oh my god. It just is such a freaky emotion to feel panic. But in other news, I finally actually got prescribed, or an order for prescribed an EKG. Um yeah, because I told my mental health care provider that I've been experiencing, like these moments of just like physical anxieties to the point that I think it could be a heart condition, because I'm like, does everyone experience this the same way? Because there have been many times, this actually isn't funny at all, but especially whenever I was taking my ADHD meds consistently, like there were many times that, and I don't take them anymore actually at all for this exact reason. I still do have them because I'm like, God forbid I ever have something that really, where I can't use the organic understanding of my mind to figure out how to organize my time, but rather just have to, yeah. But long story short, freaky stuff. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, but yeah. Um, so all of, oh yeah. So I thought that I did have a heart, and I still kind of believe that that could be the case. I wasn't able to get it because by the time that like everything was moving and shaking, it was literally already the end of walking hours, and I was like, holy fuck, are you serious? So I'm gonna go the next available weekday. But just this stuff makes me sad. It makes me sad to ever feel like, to have my body feel in those like ways, because yeah, it's mm, but I yeah, okay. That's the last that I'm gonna say about that, because yeah, I just need to sit down and chill out. Talking about it was great in terms of self clarity, but it's not ever a fun thing to have realizations or to have physical remembrance of past events. And um, yeah, just need to lay down for a little bit, and I'm probably gonna watch some shows or something, which is very nice. But yeah, that's all.